Hello, everyone. I'm Virginia Prodan, the host of Courageous Leadership with Virginia Prodan, which is every Wednesday and Saturday at 10 o'clock Central Time. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, Edify Podcast Network, and of course, you can watch it on YouTube channels. We love to hear from you, and we love your questions, and we love to answer your questions. Our podcast is called Courageous Leadership with Virginia Prodan, and I share from my own experience. You can read in complete my experience, my book, Saving My Assassin, my courageous action that the good Lord helped me to do in Romania to fight for religious and human rights cases for freedom, and also here in America as an ally attorney with Alliance Defender Freedom, as a speaker, as an author of Saving My Assassin, published by Tyndale House, and speaking not only in America but all over the world. Our podcast is also based on bringing courageous leaders. They will help us to understand and many times train us from their own area of influence how they became successful in their lives by overcoming obstacles. And one of these courageous leaders is Tony Lo Bianco. Tony has started in the Academy Award-winning film, The French Connection. He has been in over 100 films, directed 5 television shows, has a new movie coming up, was produced by Ray Romano, called Somewhere in the Queens. Tony is a long life member of the Actors Studio, and Tony and his wife, Elise, are working as co-executive producer of a film project on the Shroud. Tony, welcome to our podcast. Thank you so very much for taking the time to be here. This is not your first time. We just love to have you. You have so much to offer. And today we are so delighted to hear from you and to encourage others how you became a successful actor by overcoming obstacles in your life. If you want to share as much as possible, I know you share amazing things with me. And I was so encouraged. And for that reason, I thought others might be encouraged, because nowadays, young people are just so buying into the culture of being a victim. So welcome to our program, to our Courageous Leadership, and we are here to listen and hear from you, Tony.
Well, thank you so much.
How you started, how your childhood and upbringing. It's so fascinating.
Thank you. Elise and I, love you, and we share you. We love your friendship, and appreciate all that you've been through and what you're bringing to our country, and to the world. So, thank you very much.
If you can speak a little bit louder.
Okay, I will. In my life, I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I think that's one of the greatest gifts, because growing up in Brooklyn in my time is quite different than what's going on now in our country and in neighborhoods. We had family. That was the key. We had family. We had respect, and that is missing from a whole society. And the most important word for me is that. And we're missing it in our law enforcement. We're missing it just in general with our population. And the idea of growing up in Brooklyn was a self growth, so to speak. We didn't have much. I only remember even having a toy when I was a kid. You know, I'm like sort of like a cat, you or a dog, you or a kid. You buy a kid a toy, they play with the box. You know, the toy is the empty box. And today we just that lavish all kinds of things on children, and they miss the point of the love. And in Brooklyn, when I grew up, we my father was a cab driver, and mother a housewife, and we didn't have anything that we can even think about. But we never even thought that we didn't have anything. It was a normal function, and whatever we didn't have, you had to overcome to get, and that is part of life. And I think the problem now is that we do not know how to overcome. We expect things given to us, and we cry because we do not have, or we cannot. We are being victims. Nobody should be a victim. You see, when I participated in anything, I looked to rectify whatever thing that was in front of me to make better, to overcome, to achieve. uh, Whether I was to I played a lot of sports, a lot of boxing, a lot of baseball, softball, so on and so forth. And those kind of activities made me understand that it's not just enough to throw a strike when you're pitching, but to throw the strike where you want it to go, on what side of the plate you want it to pass. And those kind of striving for perfection, or trying to live up to something that's an ideal that you have is helps you tremendously. And defeat also helps you. Defeat you learn a lot from. Uh, you have learned a lot from defeat of what to uh, correct when you're at it again. So it's never a question of being a victim or losing. It's always great information that you're going to overcome. I did it in baseball. Did it in school. Excuse me. I did it in boxing and so on, and everything I did, and family.
Tell us in school who influenced you and how that
Yes.
influence
Well,
changed your life, because it's
thank you
so
for reminding
beautiful.
me that. You know, when I was in as a grammar school, even when I was in grammar school, a teacher said to me, "So, what is your name?" I said, and I'm from Brooklyn, you know, and I said, I'm Anthony Lo Bianco. He said, "What? You're whom?" "Oh, you're not Anthony Lo Bianco. You're Anthony Lo Bianco. It's like violins." And that kind of understanding of myself, it lifted me so high that I thought myself a lot differently. And it's an interesting. It was an interesting observation that I make now about what happened then, you know, and I realized that played a big part in my life. And also another teacher, Miss Jacobson, Pat Jacobson, in high school, she saw something in me and encouraged me to participate in contests when they came around. And she gave me there was a declamation contest that came around, and she said, "You should do this." And I said, "I should do that." I said, what is it? She said, "Well, it's speaking." And I was not much of a speaker, to say the least. But so I went home, and my aunt, who lived under us in the bottom floor, and she had her sister there, and I told her they want me to do a poem. And her sister said, I happen to have a poem with me. And it turns out this poem was about a soldier in a foxhole dying and seeing God for the first time and having a conversation with God. And so I did that poem and I won. I won for my class and then I won for my school. And she was coaching me. And then I went on and I won for my district, other schools. And then I won, I was representing Brooklyn in the city finals against the other five boroughs in the city finals. Remarkable. And I remember my teacher's face. It was shining, it was brimming with such pride and amazement that here was this student, this boxer, this sort of juvenile delinquent in school, doing this thing, and she just turned my life around. And in fact, it was she, by doing that poem and winning the contests. When I graduated high school, what was I going to do? I had a tryout with the Brooklyn Dodgers in Ebbets Field, and couldn't be a baseball player. I wanted to be, but I couldn't be a baseball player. But the best thing I did was this declamation contest. So I figured, well, let me go be an actor, and in that way, all of my ideas of trying to overcome things and looking for making things happen, so to speak, and happen in a way that is uplifting and correcting things. When I went to the acting school, I would say, okay, so I'm here now. Let's go. So I said, okay, if I'm going to be an actor, well, I better learn how to do costumes. I better learn lighting. I better learn directing. I better learn all this. It's going to make me a better actor. So so I threw myself into everything and did everything. And even when there was an empty stage there, I said, let's put some plays on. In fact, the first scene I ever did in an acting class was a play called Golden Boy. And it was written by Clifford Odets. And it was a 5-minute scene. But I worked with this woman, a much older woman, a much older actress, and I rehearsed on that scene for 3 months. And I almost killed her from rehearsing. And she kept saying, let's present it. And I'm saying, it's not ready, not ready. But then when we finally did present it, it was greatly praised by the head of the school. And that gave me a tremendous amount of confidence. And even in my approach to acting, I didn't want to just do roles that were easy for me. When I say, well, can't be saying easy, but I mean typecasting. I wanted to do things that you don't think I could do. So I would play as an 18-year-old. I would work from Brooklyn. I would play a 38-year-old English lawyer in a George Bernard Shaw play, and play it on the same bill as I would do another play of a Tennessee Williams longshoreman. And the diversity, that kind of extraordinary diversity is what I'm always after as an actor, as a performer, to open your eyes not only for the performance itself, but the capability of what you can do, with imagination, with purpose, with putting more pressure on yourself and working. See, I love pressure. That pressure doesn't bother me. It inspires.
Tony, I love what you said, that defeat can correct your path and can get you to a better path. And if I remember correctly, you shared with me that at one point, I don't know if it was a teacher or someone that you perform in front of them to compete for a role, told you that you will never be on the Broadway, and you said to yourself, "I will be." You
Oh,
are wrong, and here you are. You are on
oh,
Broadway. Share that.
that story is funny. When I was just turning 18, Arthur Miller, the great Arthur Miller, playwright, uh, he wrote a play, A View from the Bridge, and he brought a scene from it to the acting school, and he had these two kids perform this scene, and I looked at that scene and I said, I'm going to play that play on Broadway one day. And 27 years later, I did it on Broadway with Arthur Miller, with two of us looking up at the marquee. And I'm looking at that marquee with my name over the title and his name over the title. And I said to him, look at that. Not bad for two kids from Brooklyn. We had a good laugh. And it was so mind blowing to have that kind of achievement, you know,
But
to go
it takes determination. It takes hard
determination.
work, and it takes to be faithful to your dream. It's not like you said in the beginning to wait for someone to give it to you. And
Right,
if I remember correctly, many times you had to work in order to play a role, or you have to compete for them to give you a scholarship for that.
right. And in this business, my rejection is tremendous. You're getting rejected all the time, you see. And for you to land a role, it's like a miracle of so many other actors out there wanting the same role. And so you have to understand and believe in yourself. So many times when they reject you. I had another situation where I was going to play Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano is the heavyweight champ, undefeated heavyweight champ of the world, you see. And when the casting person said to the head of the network, I want Tony to play Rocky Marciano, he said, absolutely not. I do not want Tony to play Marciano. So casting guy told me that. I said, just a minute, let me transform into Marciano, and let's do a screen test, and let's show it to him. We did that exactly. We showed it to him. He looked at the screen test, and he said, "Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy I want. Who is that? Get him. He's good for that part." And it was me. So you cannot give up on these kind of things, and that was a role again. Talk about not only doing the part. I fought my own fights, 16 hours in one day. I did all my own fighting, and I also did the choreograph of the fights too, in between rounds. So I just have a huge appetite for being creative. And don't wait for somebody else to tell you or to show you have a tremendous opportunity to be creative all the time. You bring to the director, you bring to life the creation, and many different ways that you can go and have many different creative ideas on how you want to do something, how you want to make it better, just have build a great deal of confidence in yourself, and don't be timid about your own creativity. You go ahead and
It,
be
it is
brash.
so it is so true what you said, but I want to say it what you don't say in words. You didn't also have the courage to believe in yourself, but you also believe in the value that you can give to your audience.
That's right.
And that is powerful. That is what a courageous leader like you can bring to others. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm right or not, I believe believing in yourself and believing in the touching lives with the value that you have and changing lives brought you to the success that you have, Tony.
Well, thank you. That is exactly why I'm an actor. People have a strange idea about acting. The way you get a lot of bad publicity. These people, the Hollywood people, do all kinds of stupid things and give the profession a very bad name. My idea, my only reason for being an actor, is that I could give the audience, give the people something to learn, something to aspire to, some way of looking at their own lives and making the corrections, making the ideas of new things that they can relate to, and what they see, how to fix it, and how to make it right, and understand that they're not alone. That these obstacles in your life are real, but you overcome them. You overcome them. There's ways of doing it, and I want the people to believe in themselves, to be creative, and I want an audience to understand that when you come to a serious play, or see that when you see the words that writer is writing, it's about your education. It's about your education and your life, basically.
It is so true. I want to ask you a question. You play many roles, and you show us the way you transform yourself into that character that they gave you right away, the role. But you always remain Tony Lo Bianco. You never became one of your roles.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the actors will not do that. They will become one of their roles or something. To me, is because you knew your values, and your values were more important to give it to others in different roles than to adopt a role. Am I correct on that? How you became such a powerful actor, playing so many roles, but not becoming one of the role?
Well, because you don't. I think the basic thing is your family, that you have in your heart, you have in your foundation, and you always remember where you came from, and the love of your father and your mother and your brothers and your uncles and your family that gave you that foundation. And that is what you build on. And all that education from the stories that you're told, from history, from lives that been lived, and that you lived through and have witnessed, with your mother struggling and your father struggling when they were kids, and so on and so forth. And you learn all of that wonderful stuff. So that when you, in my case, I use that as my foundation, and and when I'm portraying a different character, I like to go. I don't know if you've seen a whole bunch of. I know that you have seen a whole bunch of my different pictures and a whole bunch of things. They're different human beings. They're different human beings, but I'm certainly not going to stay as one fellow. I'm going to stay as me, but as in the character, I will change into that human that is not me. And you will see different eyes, you will see different attitude, because each character has different knowledge. And as we all know, the eyes are the windows of the soul. And so when you see each character has a different world, a different life, as you do and I do and everybody else that's watching and listening. They're different humans, and they all come from what they've experienced in life. And so I concentrate on that kind of thing. And so when I transform into another character, and let that be its own breed, its own human, to perform that way. That's just part of the thing. I'm going to come back to me after it's over. And so I can do another one.
That is beautiful, Tony. I have one last question that I want to ask you. Can you summarize or encourage a young person or at any age that might think, I want to be an actor, but I don't have the blueprint. I don't have what it takes. I don't. And we always, when we find justification, what is your advice based on your overcoming all the obstacles
Mm.
in your life and becoming such a big actor? What's your advice to them?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. The substitute for uh, experience, uh, uh, it's extremely difficult. I it's like saying, well, go get some experience in life, you know. But I just don't know what to say about that. I think you have to. Uh, mm, I mean, we all, even if you don't have it, you could find it. I mean, you could really find that. Watch, you got to be sensitive to what's around you. You have to be able to start seeing what's there. What I mean by that is we're all, those of us that are fortunate to be born with eyes, those who be fortunate to be born with smell and taste and so on and so forth. And I say you have to be able to see. You've got to be able to take a look at the trees, take a look at a glass, find other properties in the glass that might just, it's not just the glass. Start thinking about what it might be. Go deep. Go deep into the values that might be here. The color, the different colors of this glass, and who made it? Who is the person that made this glass? And when you start thinking deeply into the glass, and you're looking at each the design of this thing, it's not just a glass you drink water from. It has its own properties. So when you start doing that, you have history. You're having a history of this. So when you pick that glass up and you take a drink from it, no matter what it matters how you thought of this glass and what you're using it for is quite different than just a glass you pick up and take a drink of water from. And so give everything history. Make up your own history. That's all. If you don't have the background about it, make it up. Dream about it. It's still your dream because it's coming from you. You understand? See, and when you see a tree or when you see a piece of wood or you see art, you're looking at the depth of it. It's the idea of the kind of art that they do today and what was done in a time when there was nothing, and in the Renaissance, the greatest paintings of all time. When you see when people did art then, they had nothing. They were making their own paint, for God's sake. They were making all sorts of things. So, and brushes and what have you. And they came up with the most beautiful paintings you ever saw in your life. So
That is
today they're
so
throwing a
so.
dot on a canvas or throwing paint against a wall and calling it art. What is the matter with their minds today? I mean, I don't understand how we gone backwards. Yeah, sorry.
That is so wonderful the way you encourage them. But I hope they will never forget that they are unique. Like the glass is unique. The glass was created, it has talent, and give an opportunity to someone to drink from that. You're not your own, but you bring values to others, and the same as sculpture and everything else. And it's beautiful because we all are unique, and it's up to you. Like you said, it's your dream, the way you see it, and it's your dream to accomplish. Thank you so very much, Tony, for coming again to our podcast, for encouraging people, and from sharing how you became a courageous leader, a successful actor by overcoming obstacles. We are so happy for all of you to be here. Please follow for free our podcast, Courageous Leadership with Virginia Prodan, each Wednesday and Saturday at 10 o'clock Central Time. You can listen our podcast on Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcast, Edify Podcast, and of course, you can watch it on a YouTube channel. We are so delighted that you are here. You listen. I hope you take to heart Tony Lo Bianco's advice and everything that he shared with us. Send us your questions. And if you want me to introduce to the whole world a courageous leader you might know, let us know. Thank you, Tony, again.
Thank you, Virginia. I drink to you with this particular special glass. Thank you very much, Virginia.
Thank you. Until next time, God bless you and keep in touch.